So, you know what? Our life is a dot, and I'm gonna prove this concept to you in the next 15 minutes. And well, when I say this, I'm not just making random words, I'm making sure that you will believe it after the end of the TEDx talk. Well, don't you feel sometimes our life is like a series of random events which took place, which has no connection? Maybe a kind of job you did, or a person you met, or maybe the failure you faced. Anything. You will feel that these kind of dots are not making any sense right now, but slowly and steadily it will start making all the sense. It will all start connecting together. Well, how does it happen? Because of something called the personal algorithm. And to prove this, I want to take the example of Steve Jobs. Now, Steve Jobs is somebody who dropped out of college because he felt that he's wasting the life saving of his parents. After dropping out, he thought कि अब क्या किया जाए? That's when he started looking for some other activities and he joined calligraphy classes. Then when he joined the calligraphy classes, at that point of time, he had sheer passion. There was no future option कि इसके साथ वो क्या कर सकते हैं. He was just hovering around. He tried to connect this dot, thinking that maybe इससे कुछ वो कर पाएंगे. But nothing made sense. Almost after a decade, हुआ ये that Apple computers came up. And we saw beautiful fonts there. And the beautiful fonts that we saw actually was because of he attended the calligraphy classes back then. पहले सब कुछ धुंधला धुंधला सा लग रहा था, but it all started making sense. He connected the dot, and that's how Apple was formed. Best part, because of this, when he went to a university, Stanford University to be precise, and said that you cannot connect the dot looking forward, you can only connect it by looking backward. Well, that was the time, and today we stand. The design philosophy of Apple is still being governed by his philosophy. Well, now if I ask you, for example, how did it happen? I would say this is because of brain neuroplasticity. Well, what is that? It's basically your brain's ability to change and rewire itself over the lifetime. Every experience you have, every failure you have, every person you meet will make some physical changes in your brain. And that physical change will lead to the result that you want. Let me try to prove it with my own life story. You know what? Class 6 की बात है, when my school class teacher torn away the English Olympiad form in front of me. पूरी class बैठी थी. I was feeling ashamed because she thought that मैं कभी भी उस English Olympiad को clear ही नहीं कर पाऊंगा. मैं कर भी नहीं पाता वैसे, because I knew I was so bad with English. She was right, but that was not the right way. What happened? I thought that to become famous, rather than becoming the best, let's become the worst. 2 साल मैंने मेहनत की और मैं स्कूल का सबसे worst student बना. Class 8 में, I remember, principal ma'am walked into the class, and because I was shouting in Hindi and just making noise in front of teacher, she came and slapped me in front of the whole class. That was the moment I understood that I'm not on the right path. But फिर भी मुझे कुछ connect नहीं हो रहा था. चल क्या रहा है? क्यों हो रहा है? कैसे हो रहा है? And that's when I realized that I have to take some step. And that step was maybe walk into something else which interests me. But that was the time Mr. Rajiv Shah came in my life in class 9. As soon as he came into my life, what happened is he taught me English, conversation, बात कैसे करते हैं, letter कैसे लिखते हैं, questions कैसे पूछते हैं, everything. And because he taught me all these things, I was able to gain confidence. हुआ क्या? What happened next would shock you like anything. I was someone who used to hate English, and I started writing English poem. What happened next is that poem got published on YouTube official channel of CBSE. Not only that, I got published into the best newspaper of West Bengal, which is the Telegraph. Not only that, I also started doing something which is basically interviewing the top bureaucrats out there. And while I was doing this, the best thing that happened is I happened to start conversation with people. But suddenly I thought that, क्या होगा इन सब चीजों से? Will it anyway help me in real life? Is it even possible? Then I thought to myself कि पैसे तो बन नहीं रहे इससे. So I joined college, and just like Steve Jobs, I thought that college में रह के कुछ नहीं होगा, drop out ही कर देते हैं. And then जब ये ख्याल आया, I literally did not drop out, otherwise मेरे पापा मुझे घर से बाहर निकाल देते. What I did actually was join networking sessions. While I joined the networking session, what happened with me will amaze you. I happened to meet a founder who was writing news for the top YouTubers of India. Bhuvan Bam, Ashish Chanchalani, Harsh Beniwal. He told me to join as a content writer. I started writing for them, the best, the OGs of India. And mind you, that time YouTube was coming up. I was very happy. I was earning from a skill for which I was thrashed at some point of my life. So, what happened next is, after gaining a lot of experience, I joined another company which was a edtech company. And while I joined it, I generated 40 crore of revenue for them. Mind you, 40 crore. And then I saw myself stuck in a loop. A corporate loop जो खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा है. रोज ऑफिस जाना, ऑफिस से आना. My mental health was getting affected. That's when I thought I should end my life. I tried to commit suicide, and the picture you see is of me sitting in a police van. It's back in 2021. The police rescued me from one of the Ranchi dams. I was in depression for the next 6 to 8 months. I tried to cope it up as much as possible, but I was not able to. In the meantime, in 8 to 10 months after I recovered, I thought, let's give life a new try. I quit my job to actually go for a 100 days India tour, solo. And when I went for that, on the 22nd day, I met a fatal accident and I lost my ring finger forever. And that was the time I asked God, I don't see the dot connecting. What is happening? What is happening with me? Kya karu main? But God had a plan for me. While my right hand was bandaged, my left hand was working. And with this left hand, because no other company was ready to take me, I just started typing on computer. I started writing something that we call LinkedIn post. And slowly and steadily people started reading it. It became viral. And in a matter of 2 years, I was able to close 200 clients, a multiple crore business, and gain a lot of testimonials. So I was building a personal branding empire. But guess what? This was not the end. When this happened, for one of the event I was flying to Delhi, and in the flight, I met Kalki Kochling. Basically Aditi from Ye Jawani Ye Diwani. I being Bunny, I wanted to make good friends with her. And that is the reason I thought, ऐसा मैं क्या करूं कि ये मुझे जिंदगी भर याद रखे. तो मैंने क्या किया? Another person would have come and would have clicked a random picture. But I went to my roots. I wrote a 3-pager handwritten letter to her. अब 35,000 feet पे chat GPT तो मिलेगा नहीं. So that's why I couldn't use that. But what I could do is write the own letter that Mr. Rajiv Shah taught me. She loved the letter so much that as soon as we landed, she followed me on Instagram. Not only she followed me, she agreed to come on my podcast, which I'm yet to start, but she agreed to be one of the guests. Well, I was so inspired by this story that I went and wrote it on LinkedIn. What happened next? The post went viral. It was read all across the world. And one of the professors from the top B schools read it. After she read this particular post, what happened next is basically she messaged me on LinkedIn that she wants me to train the academic leaders of a university. And I'm talking about Symbiosis Pune. one of the top B schools where I always wanted to go. The same story, if you see and try to align, my life has come a full circle. From being rejected by a faculty back in school to training a faculty now. Can you imagine such a drastic change? And that's why I call it the algorithm known as DOT. Direction of tomorrow. That's why I said your life is a dot. You know why? मेरे को एक इंसान बहुत पसंद है, जाकिर खान. उसने एक बात कही थी कि आज तुम्हें अगर ये शर्ट चाहिएगी ना, तो आज तो तुमको नहीं ही मिलेगी, क्योंकि ये दुनिया ही इतनी जालिम है. और कल तुमको महसूस होगा कि ये शर्ट तुमको चाहिए ही नहीं थी, क्योंकि एक बेहतरीन सूट तुम्हारा वेट कर रहा है. And you know what? Because of this, he does not only say all these things, he proved by performing in the biggest auditorium of the world. अब मुझे सबको यही लग रहा होगा कि this is the story of Steve, this is the story of Yogesh, this is the story of Zakir. It is actually a universal phenomenon. It is applicable on everybody in this room and everybody around the world. I started researching on all the entrepreneurs, and you know what I found out? During the 1990s, this guy called Reed Hastings actually faced a $40 late fee for Apollo 13 DVD because he submitted it late. Well, he did not know isse hoga kya, but you say na, ego problem. Due to that, in 1997, the year I was born, he actually founded Netflix, a DVD on rental service. And what you see Netflix is actually that started that time because of that one incident. He could connect the dot. Let me give you another example back home. This guy, known as Agarwal, who used to love traveling but did not used to find any kind of budgeted option around India. What he did next is actually he went ahead to find Oyo. And due to which people were able to find budgeted option, and he's one of the renowned entrepreneurs backed by Y Combinator. तो ये सब मैं आपको बता क्यों रहा हूं? Because the same dot connects your life. Well, to be precise, why I call it a dot? Because not only it's a direction of tomorrow. To be precise, every challenge you face in your life today is a dot. Every failure that you have ever had is a dot. Every passion you ever started is a dot. But you will ask me one thing, कि योगेश अगर इस डॉट को कनेक्ट करने में उंगली चल जाए, सुसाइड करना पड़े, तो ऐसे डॉट का क्या फायदा? The point is, when somebody says you this, तुमसे ना हो पाएगा, tell them and ask them one question. Look up in the bright morning sky. And when you look at a bright morning sky, do you see the stars? No, right? But are the stars not there? The stars are there. It is just that we can't see them. But as soon as the night arrives, we can see the stars. That certainly means that without the dark, we would never see the stars. That is the reason I say that you need some dark chapters in your life to be where you are. Hence, with full conviction, I say out loud, one thing today is collect your dot, trust your dot, and connect your dot. That's my time. Thank you. I am Yogesh Agarwal.